All right, folks, check this out. We have yet another bombshell revelation in the story surrounding Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. On this channel, we have extensively covered journalist Michael Wolff, who is one of Donald Trump's most well-known biographers. He's also someone who interviewed Jeffrey Epstein before he was arrested and before he died, and he specifically focused on Epstein's connections to Donald Trump. And in a new interview, he was asked, based on his conversations with Epstein, why is Donald Trump hiding these files? Why is he being so cagey about this story? And he laid out a possible cover-up included in the Epstein files of tax crimes. That's right. According to Call to Activism, a major left-wing Twitter account who originally posted this video, which came from an interview on Substack, they wrote, "Major breaking, Michael Wolff just dropped a bomb about what Jeffrey Epstein told him about Donald Trump. When asked what he thinks will be revealed about Trump if the Epstein files ever see the light of day, Wolff answered, I think it's a monster tax scam in the middle of this, which Epstein spoke to me about. It seems that Jeffrey Epstein was involved in or was even the architect of a possible monster tax scam on how to hide Donald Trump's money and helped him avoid taxes. This might explain why Trump always fought like hell that other documents, like the Epstein files, should never see the light of day. For example, his tax returns. We all remember that years-long battle to get Donald Trump to release his tax returns, which is something that every major presidential candidate has done for quite some time now. He was the one who would not do that. Let that sink in. Trump's taxes have been one of the most closely guarded secrets in modern politics. Every subpoena, every court fight, every stall tactic, now it all has a new, darker layer. If Wolff's account is true, Trump isn't just hiding shady business deals, he's hiding the fact that one of the most notorious sexual predators in history helped design the scheme to bury his billion-dollar debt, which Wolff talks about in the clip. This wasn't just friendship, this was conspiracy told by Epstein himself, and it explains why Trump would fight to the ends of the earth to make sure those returns never see the light of day. So he lays out a pretty explosive allegation in this clip. And now, without further ado, don't want to waste any more time. Let's watch and see what Michael Wolff said about this question. Have a look.
What will be revealed if the Epstein documents are ever shown the light of day? Even if the unedited videotape of Jeffrey Epstein's suicide is revealed, what do you think they will show?
Well, I think that they'll show lots of things, including this close relationship with Donald Trump. There is there are the girls and the lifestyle issues and all of that, which I think there would be clear evidence about. But I also think this may weigh even more heavily on Trump's mind. I think there's a lot of financial details.
And what I've been talking to folks and said that financial trail leads to foreign countries.
Well, it could lead to foreign countries. I think it's also a monster tax scam in the middle of this, which Epstein spoke to me about at a rather, in some detail, which basically goes, Trump was forgiven, about $1 billion in personal loan guarantees in the 90s, and when you are forgiven personal loans, that immediately becomes income. So if you're forgiven for $1 billion, then you owe the government $500 million in the simplest terms. But if you can't pay back your $1 billion, chances are that you don't have your $500,000. So what are you going to do there? Now, Epstein's advice to Trump was that this money, because of the complications of how this shows up, it's relatively easy to hide. So I would imagine the details of that would come out, and I also imagine that that's one of the reasons he's been so careful about his tax returns.
And I believe Senator Wyden is on the right path when he's following the money trail.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that is major what they're talking about here. What Michael Wolff is revealing, a possible collaboration between Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump in the 90s to help Trump get around paying hundreds of millions of dollars worth of taxes to the federal government. Donald Trump could be concerned that information surrounding that agreement, that scheme between Epstein and Trump that Michael Wolff is laying out in this video could come to light. And as the journalist on the left who's conducting the interview brought up there at the end, Senator Ron Wyden, who is the ranking member of the Senate Finance Committee, the ranking Democrat, I should say, has been conducting an investigation into the finances surrounding Jeffrey Epstein since 2022. So in Biden's presidency, it's now continued into Donald Trump's presidency, but so far it's been far more difficult to do so in Trump's presidency because the Treasury, the DOJ, and the administration are just not working with him, not giving him the documents and the committee the documents they need. But in a new article talking about this investigation, he writes, and his team writes, as Trump sits on key Epstein files, Wyden lays out the follow the money investigation for the Department of Justice. Senate Finance Committee ranking Democrat Ron Wyden slammed the Trump administration's failure to properly investigate Epstein's sex trafficking network and financing in a new letter sent today, which was very recently, July 23rd, 2025. To Attorney General Pam Bondi, and he laid out 7 leads for federal prosecutors based on the findings of his own years-long inquiry. Quote, after reviewing the Epstein memorandum you recently published, it is obvious that the DOJ failed to conduct a real investigation into the funding of Epstein's operation. In fact, I'm convinced that the DOJ ignored evidence found in the U.S. Treasury's Department Epstein file, a binder that contains extensive details on the mountains of cash Epstein received from prominent businessmen that Epstein used to finance his criminal network. Due to the DOJ's lack of thoroughness, I would like to offer you a roadmap with a list of the follow the money leads on Epstein that you must follow up on immediately. That's how badly the Trump administration is doing right now. Senators who are on the Finance Committee are having to give them a roadmap to hold people accountable. And here are the 7 lines of investigation that Wyden laid out in his letter. Number 1, direct the DOJ prosecutors and FBI agents to immediately investigate the evidence contained in the Treasury Department records on Epstein. The Treasury Department's Epstein file contains actionable information on thousands of wire transfers and more than $1 billion flowing in out of Epstein's accounts, all of which merit further investigation. And if what Michael Wolff is saying is true and real, then that scheme with Donald Trump, the business relationship that they are rumored to have, might come up in these Treasury Department documents. Number 2, direct DOJ prosecutors and FBI agents to investigate why several ultra-wealthy Wall Street financiers paid Epstein hundreds of millions of dollars. For example, billionaire Leon Black paid Epstein $170 million for purported tax and estate planning advice, far more than other professional attorneys and advisors involved in Black's estate planning. Number 3, investigate the role of sanctioned Russian banks in the financing of Epstein's sex trafficking activities. The Treasury Department's Epstein file contains information indicating that Epstein used several now sanctioned Russian banks for hundreds of millions of dollars in wire transfers. These are all things that the Trump DOJ has not investigated. So when they're up there, Pam Bondi, Trump, whoever it might be, JD Vance saying, yeah, there's nothing here. Remember this, that the Treasury Department is sitting on these documents right now. Ron Wyden is giving them a roadmap to do it, and they are not. Direct the DOJ to subpoena internal bank records related to Epstein. Some of the biggest banks in the world, including Bank of America, JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, processed millions in suspicious transactions that flowed through Epstein's accounts. Direct the DOJ and the FBI to conduct an investigation into banks that failed to properly report large payments to Epstein in a timely manner. Conduct depositions with bankers responsible for overseeing large accounts transacting with Epstein, particularly relationship managers and their supervisors. And then finally, subpoena documents from the USVI Attorney General related to its settlement agreement that gave Leon Black immunity from prosecution in the USVI for Epstein-related crimes. He's literally giving the Trump administration a roadmap to hold people accountable surrounding Epstein and to release financial documents to the public, whatever it might be. And so far, the Trump administration is refusing to do that. And I wonder if it's because as Michael Wolff is talking about here, there might be some collaboration with Epstein and Trump back in the 90s to cover up some of these payments and some of these tax schemes. So anyway, really fascinating stuff from Mr. Wolff as always. I will leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. It goes an incredibly long way. Drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about this story. And as I always say, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.